Is it still early for any of us to assume Kagurabachi is better than Jujutsu Kaisen? Yes. Do I also believe Kagurabachi will be better than Jujutsu Kaisen if given enough time? Also yes. Of course, this isn't to say that this will definitely happen, but this series definitely has the potential to accomplish this. But I will also name a few characters and organizations that will be named to help you get a better perspective of how this series is going so far. But first, to those who have not read this manga series, it is a new manga that was released in Weekly Shonen Jump last year in September, and that essentially became the biggest meme that flooded the community, with people even saying that it could rival the big three, making it the greatest manga of all time. And it was literally called the Kagurabachi glazing. You can search this up yourself. I can't believe that was real. It's about a boy named Chihiro Rokuhira who lived with his father, who was a famous blacksmith and was seen as a major figure in the past war, until a group known as a Hishaku came and ended his life while stealing his most powerful enchanted blades, sending Chihiro on the path of revenge to obtain his father's blade from the enemy. So what connects this series to a juggernaut like JJK is how the story follows a similar format where this is a world of sorcery, so of course the power system they have is very similar to Jujutsu Kaisen's, and while we do have a certain level of understanding of how their system is used, we are still in the early stages of the story to where our understanding of it is currently not high enough for us to properly judge it, but that will come in due time. So one large reason as to why so many jokes were made of the series was because of the MC, Chihiro, as people were roasting him on his edginess as a character. And while I did half agree to this, after reading the first chapter, I was actually surprised to see how the portrayal of the MC was made, and that's because this magazine was well known to favor upbeat, hyperactive, and generally optimistic main characters over the more serious, straight-laced, and realistic types. In fact, there may be others who might not know this, but the mangaka of Black Clover, Yuki Tabata, previously created a manga in Weekly Shonen Jump called Hungry Joker, and this series was unfortunately cancelled despite what I believe was a great concept to a story. And when you later created Black Clover, he noticed how many people were attracted and resonated to Asta as a character, way more than they did to Heidi, who is the main character of Hungry Joker. And this was when he realized that his fans voiced better opinions with Black Clover because of Asta as the main character, as Asta is a character that portrayed the traits that I had stated earlier. This really does show you that this magazine has a type. Obviously, this is not to say that characters like Chihiro will never be good characters, but are simply received less than characters like Yuji or Asta or others who have more expressive comedy mixed into their character, while Chihiro has a more deadpan comedy. I also like to bring attention to the black and white viewpoint that Chihiro is inflicted with, because definitely after the death of his father, he grew a new mentality that made him a very ruthless person and will not hesitate to unalive anyone who gets in his way, but has also still remained the kind person that he was. And so when it always comes down to it, he will always prioritize those he cares for more than even his own goals, which will be a difficult task considering that he will be fighting opponents that will even force him to question even his own philosophies. But what gave me the huge appreciation for this series was how it didn't fall into the same trope a few other anime had done. First, disaster strikes on the MC's family. Second, MC gets saved or helped by an organization built to fight against a certain threat. And finally, third, MC joins said organization. That sounds familiar, doesn't it? But Chihiro doesn't do that. There's a group called the Kamunabi, which is essentially the good guys group in this series, whose duty is to protect the people. But they are one of the antagonists instead, which is a new style that I greatly love. And with this development, it means he has his own group and follows his own ideals without any interference of a higher authority. Now, if you have ever caught up with the Jujutsu Kaisen manga, you will know that the series will be ending sometime this year. With the major action series ending, there usually would be another one to take its place, and Kagurabachi fits all the aspects and qualities that JJK held, from its intense action scenes to its bloody and unreserved nature. Now to dive directly into manga content, I'll bet they won't be heavy. There is one arc despite its very short length of 10 chapters best represents these elements, which was the versus Sojo arc, in which the goal was to save a girl who was captured for the sake of her natural born abilities and will be experimented as a result of them. And during the final battle between Chihiro and Sojo, they have a conversation which dealt with conflicting ideologies on how the enchanted blade should be wielded, or whether or not they are even worthy of holding such power. And the mangaka had managed to write a good antagonist such as Sojo within a short amount of time. That gave a great parallel to Chihiro as a character, as it wasn't until he met a man like Sojo did he ever question his own convictions. But without a doubt, the mangaka is doing nothing but cooking in the kitchen with how well he has written the story so far, with the largest trait that gets emphasized the most is how one must take responsibility for whatever actions they have done or what they will do in the future, and how Chihiro's responsibility is to retrieve the enchanted blades to bring honor to his father's legacy. While I would like to tell you more, that's for you to go ahead and read the manga to determine whether it is as good as I'm advertising it to be, and subscribe if you want anything Kagurabachi related. Peace.